What up, metalheads? It's been a long while, and been incredibly busy. And I'm still busy. I'm just squeezing in time right now. Um, Anyways, today I wanted to talk about a Stryper album that I actually have been listening to over and over and over recently, like a ton. And that is their Second Coming album. It's a re-recording, and I know that's a little bit weird. Like, why are you reviewing a re-recording of something? Why not review like an actual album of theirs, right? It's like reviewing a best of album. Well, hold on. I know it's really weird, but just hang in there. There's a reason to it all, and I'll get into that. The the reason why I choose Second Coming over their other ones simply is because I think it's the best one, even though it's not really like an album. It's just almost like a collection of their best ofs and then re-recorded. But I find myself listening to this album more than their other ones simply because it has all the songs of my favorite albums, for To Hell with the Devil and Soldiers Under Command. So it's got some of the best songs from those two albums, but the key is that it's re-recorded, and I think a re-recording for Stryper was very much needed, since their earlier stuff sounded really, really hair metal-y. Michael's vocals sounded very girly. They sounded the instrumentation sounded really, like I said earlier, hair metal-y, sounded really light, kind of rockish, but the potential of those albums had were good. I liked the ideas of Stryper's music, but I never really did like Stryper's music, you know? It wasn't until they released, No More Hell to Pay, I actually loved that album, right? And then they did Fallen, which was absolutely incredible, with the song Yahweh being the most, probably in my opinion, that's a metal classic. The song Yahweh. If any of you guys have not heard that song, go check it out. That song is up there with Painkiller, in my opinion. It's up there with Thunder Horse by Death Clock. I mean, this is maybe even like Living After Midnight. Maybe even like an Iron Maiden classic, like say The Trooper. I would put Stryper's Yahweh song up there with the metal classics. I gotta say that song is the best metal song released in a long time, and I know it's a bold statement, but I strongly believe that. If you have not heard that song and you like classic heavy metal, do check it out. Incredible, mind-blowing, heavy. But the reason why the Stryper's newer stuff is, I think, is much more digestible, easier to listen to, much more interesting to me, is because it sounds heavier. Michael's vocals actually sound, not girly. He actually sounds like a guy that can sing high notes, and powerful high notes. And I think it's like he's one of the best metal vocalists of all time. So the fact that they re-recorded those earlier songs that I would have liked, they re-recorded those songs with the new Stryper sound, and I think that's what was needed. And because of that, I now listen to this album, this re-recorded album, more than any other Stryper album, and I've been listening to it more than really any other metal album, a lot, and I like it. It's crisper, it's a lot clearer, it sounds more live, doesn't sound really digital, it doesn't sound like anything, it just sounds live, like they're just in the studio and then recorded all together. I like it. It's really good. It took the potential of what was in the earlier albums, and they got rid of everything that I didn't like about them and replaced it with stuff that I would have liked to hear. So I think that's great. And they picked all of the songs that I would like to hear. First Love, I remember I hated that song. in the Soldiers Under Command album, I hated that song. But in this album, the re-recorded one, I actually like that song a lot. It's great, Soldiers Under Command is one of the better songs that I like. I like Surrender, really epic sounding. It's really rockish, It's probably the most commercial sounding song there is, but I love that song. Really good. To Hell with the Devil, I also like it. It reminds me somewhat of Black Sabbath. The song The Way sounds very Judas Priesty. I mean, the guitar riff, I always think of Glenn Tipton every time I hear that guitar riff, that opening guitar riff. So, I really like, I just love this album a lot, and I wanted to talk about it because I was actually listening to it. Right, I'm on my way home from work, and I'm playing this album, and I'm just like, dang, this album's so good. I keep repeating it over and over and over, and it's made me want to talk about it with you guys. So again, this is a demand. I am demanding you guys go listen to the song Yahweh. Great freaking song, okay? So yeah, anyways, I would give this album, this re-recorded album, it's kind of bold, but I'm actually going to give this a 9.5, simply because it's fun. It's got memorable, catchy, heavy. That's a key, because the earlier stuff wasn't as heavy. This stuff is. It's a lot heavier. Oh, but the thing is, it's not that it's tuned lower. I don't know what the deal is, because it seems to be in the same tune. It's just that maybe they used different strings, maybe. Obviously, Michael's vocals is a little bit lower than his earlier girly voice that I didn't like in the 80s. But yeah, man, I think, this is a 9.5. This is definitely one of the better albums I've heard. And it's funny because it's not even like an actual album. It's just like a re-recorded best of album. But I think that this album is better than any other Stryper album. It just simply has the best collection of songs. It's much better to listen to this album as a whole than any of their other ones, really. There's not really any songs that I skip. Yeah, that's really about it. And Stryper sings about Jesus and the gospel, and I myself, I love the gospel and Jesus. I think it's really nice to finally hear some good metal musicians. There's a lot of like Christian metal that I don't like, but Stryper is they're great musicians, I think. You know what I think would be nice though to hear from Stryper? So what I really want them to do is do a concept album, right? Because Stryper so far only seems to sing about kind of like the gospel and Jesus's love, and through his people and so on, which is cool. But I think it would be really awesome to hear them do a concept album of like the Bible as a unified story about Jesus. So like maybe they'll tell about the Jews that were captured by Egypt and slaves and under Pharaoh's tyranny, and then God led them to the story of Moses and all that. I think it'd be cool just to like go through the Bible as a whole, as a story, and what it represents about Jesus, and then it finally gets to Jesus, right? And then the crucifixion, then afterwards, and his people are like filled with the Holy Spirit and going out on a mission to bring God's kingdom forward, be the light into a crooked world and all that. So, I mean, I think a concept album on that would be awesome, especially since Old Testament stories are really good. Old Testament stories are pretty metal, guys. They're pretty metal. So, like, the story of Ezekiel, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys have read the Bible or know anything about it, but anyways, that's something that I really want Stryper to do. I'm so looking forward to that. They haven't said anything on it, but I want to. Like, I want to, like, email Michael Sweet and be like, dude, please do this. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of this album. What do you guys think of Stryper in general? They're not a band that's talked a lot about outlets like Loudwire or whatever, so kind of shed some light on them. They're a good band. I really like them. Great. So yeah, see you guys later.